All right, today we're going to talk about multiplying binomials. So we have two methods for doing this. It's FOIL method or box method. So we'll talk about those. Before we get into the two methods, I just want to reiterate or go back over what a binomial is. So we said a binomial is an algebraic expression that has two terms. So remember, we said that terms are separated by a plus or a minus. So this is a term and this is a term. So this set of parentheses has two terms, so we call it a binomial. So when we say multiplying binomials, we're taking something like 2x plus 3 and we're multiplying that by 4x minus 1. Notice we have two sets of parentheses here. Each set of parentheses has two terms in it, so this is a binomial times a binomial, okay? All right, so we're going to start with the FOIL method first. With the FOIL method, FOIL is an acronym, and it stands for first, outer, inner, last. And what that's referring to is the location within the parentheses. So I'm going to write this out. So 2x plus 3, and we're multiplying that by 4x minus 1. All right, so f is first. So we're going to multiply the first term in each set of parentheses. So I have 2x times 4x. So I take 2 times 4, which gives me 8, and then x times x gives me x squared. All right, so that's the f in FOIL. That's first. All right, and then next, outer. So we're going to do the outer two terms. So we have 2x here and a negative 1 here. So I'm going to multiply 2x times negative 1 is minus 2x. And that's your outer two terms. All right, and then next is I for inner. So we're going to multiply the inner two terms. So 3 times 4x. So 3 times 4 is a positive 12, and then x. And that's our inner term. And then last, it's the last term in each set of parentheses. So 3 times negative 1, which gives me negative 3. All right, so that's what the FOIL acronym stands for, first, outer, inner, last. This is the result from multiplying the first two. This is the result from multiplying the outer two. This is the result from multiplying the inner two. And this is the result of multiplying the last two. Now, and when you do this, your two middle terms, the two middle terms here, you can simplify or you can combine because they should be like terms. So this has an x squared term. Nothing else has x squared, so we can't combine it with anything. This is just a number 3. It has no variable with it, so we can't combine that with anything. Here we have an x and an x, so we can combine these. So I'm going to bring down my 8x squared. If I combine these, negative 2 plus 12 gives me plus 10x, and then minus 3 on the end. So when we simplify this, we get down to a polynomial that looks like this. And this is called a trinomial because we have 1, 2, 3 terms, right? So separated by plus and minus, 1, 2, 3, trinomial, 3 terms. Okay, so if I take 2x plus 3 times 4x minus 1, and I multiply it out, then we get 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. All right, box method. It's the exact same thing. We're still multiplying the same thing. It's still, we're under the same, like we're still doing the same multiplying each term. It's just set up a little bit differently. So I'm going to take the first, so I have 2x plus 3. I'm going to put that across the top. Now, it does not matter which binomial you put on the top and which you put on the side, because remember that multiplication is commutative, meaning the order of multiplying doesn't matter. So then I'm going to take the next binomial. So we have 4x, and I put a minus 1. So I put the plus here to remind myself that that's a positive 3. I also put the minus here because that's going to be a negative 1, right? The term takes the sign that is in front of it, so this becomes a negative. So now I'm just going to multiply and put the answer in that box. So this has a 4x by a 2x. So 4 times 2 gives me 8x squared. Then this box, I have a 3 on top of here and a 4 over here. So 3 times 4x gives me 12x. Here I have 2x times negative 1. So that's negative 2x. And in this last box, I have 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3. All right, so now we've done all the multiplying. So now what we do is we take diagonals, and you always add diagonals together. All right, always add them together. Well, this diagonal is all by itself, so we have 8x squared. I'm going to add these together, so negative 2 plus 12 gives me a positive 10x, and then this negative 3 is all by itself. So you can see that we come up with the same solution. on both methods. It does not matter which method you use. It's completely up to you. It's your preference. You can use either one, all right? Whichever one makes more sense to you. All right, so let's do one more example. All right, so we have x minus 4 and x minus 6. All right, so we're going to start with first. So multiply x times x. That gives me x squared. Outer, so the outer two terms, so x times negative 6. Remember, the sign in front of the number goes with it. So x times negative 6 is minus 6x. And then I is inner, so I'm going to do the inner two terms. So I have negative 4 times x, so negative 4x. And then the last term in each set of parentheses. Negative 4 times negative 6 becomes a positive 24. All right, so again, this is my result of my first, result of my outer, result of my inner, and result of my last. And again, we can always combine the two middle terms because they are like terms. So we have x squared, negative 6 minus 4 gives me negative 10x plus 24. And again, we call this a trinomial. So a binomial times a binomial gives us a trinomial, right? We have 1, 2, 3 terms, tri meaning 3. All right, and then for the box method, again, it does not matter. Whoops, let's make that an x. It does not matter which order or which binomial you put on top and which one you put on the bottom. Just out of habit, I always take the first binomial and put it across the top. The second binomial always goes down on the side. That's just the way that I do it. All right, so we have x times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. And again, so we're multiplying these two and then putting the solution in that box. So that's a positive 24. So again, I took x times x and got x squared. Negative 4 times x, and that went right there. X times negative 6, the solution went there. And then negative 4 times negative 6, and the solution went there. Again, we're looking at diagonals, and you always add them. All right, so this diagonal is by itself, so x squared. Negative 6 plus negative 4 gives me a negative 10x, and then plus 24. So again, getting the exact same answer, no matter which method we do. Now, you only pick one method to do. Please do not do both methods for every single problem. All right, it's completely up to you which method you prefer. It does not matter to me at all which one you use. All right, so take a minute and I want you to practice, try these 4 problems here. And then you have a worksheet to do, and it's going to look like this. All right, it's a puzzle worksheet. Okay, so what it is over here, this one, so number 1, so we have 2x plus 1 times x minus 1. So you're going to solve that either by FOIL or the box method. Feel free to use a separate sheet of paper, especially if you're using the box method. There's not a lot of room on here. If you're doing the FOIL method, you might be able to squeeze it in if you write pretty small, but please feel free to use a separate sheet of paper if you would like. So I'm going to do this first one. I'm just going to use the FOIL method, all right, just to do this one with you guys. So 2x times x gives me 2x squared. And then I have 2x times negative 1. So first and then outer, so negative 2x. Inner, so 1 times x is just x. And then last, 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Of course, I always combine my two middle terms. So I have 2x squared. I have negative 2 plus 1, which leaves me with a negative x minus 1. So this is my solution. Again, it's pretty tight in here. Again, feel free to use another sheet of paper. So now what I'm going to do is over here in the puzzle, I'm looking for this solution. So 2x squared minus x minus 1 is right here. Now, clearly, if I cannot find my solution over here, then I know I did something wrong and I need to go back and change that. All right, so now we're looking at this. So I have, it goes right here. So I look at this diagram, this picture, and that's how I need to shade in this square. All right, so it looks like this triangle is colored in. Now, feel free to use a highlighter. That's probably easier than using your pen or pencil. or you can use colored pencils, you can use a marker. It's totally up to you. But try your best to stay within the lines and make it look nice and neat. Just scribbling and not filling it in doesn't look as nice. All right, so then this triangle. I'm sure you guys would be better at shading this in than I am. And then this one here. All right, and then once you have it shaded in, then you just go on and you do the next problem. Also, what it will turn out is it'll be a pattern. So it's not going to just be haphazard over here. It'll be a pattern and probably symmetrical. So you can kind of look at it and make sure the sides are looking the same. And if they don't, then you know that you probably did something incorrect. All right, so this is what you are working on. Again, try these practice problems first here, and then you can go to your other worksheets. If you need help with anything, please feel free to see the teacher. We're more than happy to go over whatever you need to go over. Thanks.